Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this part 3 and final part of the story Few and Far Between. Yesterday and the day before had parts 1 and 2. The links will be in the description. Anyways, on to part 3. The ship captain was not what Opal had expected. Squishy had told Opal long ago that humans did not have brute caste like the Brindicans. They had no squat work forms, no burly war forms, and no spindly high forms. The tutor had taken it as a point of pride that any human was born with the capacity for any station. And yet this human captain was as near the opposite of Squishy as Opal could fathom. He was short where the tutor was tall, thick where he was thin, pale and red-vined where the Squishy was brown. Squishy's hair was piled neatly atop his head, while the captain spread downwards to cover the lower half of his face in a thick thatch. Still, there were similarities. Quick, the darting eyes with pupils in whites, unlike the uniform black of Opal's. The soft, unchitined flesh that earned Squishy his sobriquet. Just a single set of arms and legs, giving them an air of being terribly unbalanced. Soft, unbalanced, weak. Certainly the impression they drew from the Brindicans. But Opal had seen what they could do. But one of them could, at least. Getting in had been simple enough. Squishy had packaged Opal snugly in a crate, popped it onto a hand truck, and walked it right past throngs of workforms straight to the ship. The crew was rushing about to load their cargo. One more human drew little notice. By the time the humans realized they had an extra crewman, Squishy was in the cargo hold with his package, demanding an audience with the captain. Now they stood alone in the captain's quarters, Opal picking straw out of his crest, Squishy standing straight as a rod, hands crossed behind his back, and the captain pensively picking his teeth with a sliver of wood. "Asylum," he said, rolling the word around his mouth. His voice slurred at the sibilance, where Squishy's was clean and clipped. "On my ship," he said, "people pay for their passage." "With respect, sir," Squishy said, "I invoke Amendment 68B of the 3rd Terran Concordant. Any human under unjust persecution from an alien power may request asylum and passage from any Terran vessel, to be compensated upon end of journey by the nearest Terran embassy. Failure to provide such carries significant repercussions." "I know the law, Flotsam," the captain said. He idly twitched the toothpick, working at a scrap of food between his molars. "But we're a long way from the Terran's territory. Next up I say that we met, no hide nor hair of you, and who's to say any different?" "That is, of course, your choice," said Squishy. "Of course, you would have to explain what happened to the human veteran you took aboard." He reached to his neck, pressing just below the jaw. A small glowing red pattern lit up beneath the skin. "The ship picked up my tag as soon as I entered," he said. "Technology may have improved since I was on a Terran vessel, Captain, but I believe scrubbing your records of such an event without flagging the driver remains quite impossible." The pick paused. "A sly one, he thinks, he is," Captain grumbled to himself. "All right, you've got your ticket," he said. He gestured to Opal. "And what about him? He ain't human." "No, but he isn't innocent," Squishy said. "A refugee. Too risky," the captain grunted. "We get searched, he gets found. It's my head." "Would you turn him away to the ones outside?" Squishy said. "You know what they would do to him." Opal shivered almost imperceptibly, and his tutor put a reassuring arm on his shoulder. His voice took on an edge. "Is your soul as damned as theirs?" The captain snapped a desk and came to his feet. "You risked the lives of my crew by bringing him in here," he snarled. "Now you want I should give him birth. He's a highborn." The teacher didn't flinch. "He's a child." Both men stood that way for a time, eyes locked, one furious, the other icy. The toothpick wobbled as Captain's jaw silently flexed. He broke first. "All right," he shouted, and spat the pick away. "Damn you, Flotsam, I'll take the boy, and mark me and mine for slaughter. But I will." He stuck a hand like a slab of meat forward. "Good," said Squishy. He reached out to meet the captain's hand in a firm grip. "If you are needing any assistance on our journey, I have 8 years of Navy experience. I am rated for up to Class 4 loading vehicles and Class 6 reactor maintenance, and I am capable of holding myself in case of pirates." He released the handshake. "And I can cook." The captain fell back into his chair, his mouth opened and closed wordlessly. "You daft holdout," he finally managed. "Why didn't you open with that?" Squishy met his gaze firmly. "I wanted the measure of you, Captain," he said, "and now I have it." A swift rap came from the door. One of the crewmates came in, a human bulky enough to rival a warform in size. "We got trouble, boss," he said. "Skitters in the cargo bay." The captain heaved himself out of his chair. "Fag years," he said. "I'll be down in a sec. Keep them away from anything troublesome." The crewman gave a quick nod and closed the door. "The authorities are on board, Captain," said Squishy. "They may intend on searching the ship." "Oh, don't worry about that, Flotsam," said the captain. He moved to the wall and smacked it with a meaty fist in no place in particular. One of the waist-high wall panels that looked no different than the others popped out with a squeak, revealing a narrow crawl space. He smiled through his thick beard. "We're well practiced in hiding what's looked for." The space was small, but no worse than many of the spots the pair had hidden over the ordeal. In unspoken unison, they moved along the well-padded space towards the small grate that held the only source of light. "Do you think you'll give us up?" Opal whispered as they crept. "The captain is a man of peculiar honor," Squishy murmured, "as occasional men of his profession are. He may have tried to negotiate a better deal, but I suspect his mind was decided the moment we came on board." Opal peered through the grate. A cluster of pipes cunningly hid the opening while offering a wide view of the cargo hold. The crew were packed tight in the space, still processing the last of the cargo. Most were human, of varying shapes and colors, but the occasional alien would be seen in the crowd. What really drew Opal's attention, however, was the three war forms at the center of the room. Their crests showed arrogance, and they moved the casual swagger of their station. They might have had to do with the blue sashes that stood out against their crimson chitin, marking them as trade enforcers. Or maybe it was a narrow-range beam rifle slung at their waists. They lorded over the cargo bay, eyeing every box and package with lazy suspicion. Opal's heart quickened as one of them looked directly at the grate, and he only began to breathe again when the warform finally glanced away. The captain bustled up, grabbing a wrench and rapping it against the hatch. "Pipe down, you miserable lot," he cried. "These are heroes of the revolution, these are. Ain't none of you know how to show some hospitality?" The warform in front inclined his head downwards. "You are the captain?" "That's right," the captain said, grinning. "We represent the free Brindigan nation," he said. "Yeah, I remember you from our last run, before the flop," said the captain. "World turns upside down and you're still here in the middle, huh?" The enforcer's horns twitched. "We are looking for a high firm," the leader said. "Young, male, not yet branched." "We'll be sure to keep an eye out," the captain said. "You making our scores across the dock, or are we just specials?" "He's travelling with a human," said the warform. "His tutor, a house slave." "You thought he might seek his own," Captain sighed. "A real deduction, that is." "He's dangerous," the warform said. "Since the revolution, he has assaulted and murdered a number of citizens, including a blooded warform." "Did he now?" The captain raised thick eyebrows. "Can't look too good for you lot. A warform killed my school teacher. Quick with a ruler, was he?" The leader's crest flared in anger. He seized the captain by the collar and dragged him forward. His voice went cold. "Let me make myself clear, human," he said. "We will search every meter of the ship. We will disassemble it piece by piece if need be. And if we find a highball on your vessel, the lives of every one of you will be—" He stopped. Each crewman in the hold had, as one, picked up tools that were not quite weapons. The slight first mate had sat atop a crate, testing the edge of an angle grinder with studious care. The birdie sailor Opal had seen earlier now swung a tremendous spanner idly back and forth. In the corner, a lanky human with a shaved head sparked up a cutting torch. And everywhere in between was a variety of items that could theoretically be put to lethal use. The enforcer to the right reached for his rifle and halted as behind him a buzzsaw revved. Warforms had been bred for generations to hone their combat instincts. Now it seemed to occur to the warriors that for all the searing firepower, a long-barreled rifle was perhaps the worst weapon that you could choose for close melee. The warforms drew together, caught by the terrible uncertainty Opal had seen before. The instant they drew their firearms, those tools would become weapons, but for now, they remained merely tools. These warriors were not prepared for the hair-thin edge between peace and violence the humans seemed to wield like a knife. Only the captain remained empty-handed. He pried himself from the warform's loosened grip. With a languid grace, he pulled the toothpick from his pocket and slotted it between his teeth. "Now here's what's going to happen," he said. "I, as a respectable ship captain, will assure you that I have not seen any high-born whelp, and you, an honourable civil servant, will take me at my word, and we, as honest sailors, will let you know if some eyeborn strays onto our dock. He slapped a hand against the lead warform's chest. Even reaching up, it barely met. Don't worry about us, he said. I got a good, hard-working crew here, the lot. We can handle a tutor. He left his barest emphasis on the we. Again, the pregnant pause that Opal had learned to associate with humanity. The warform broke first. I will take your word, Captain, he said stiffly. The crew eased, and the tension lightened to a degree, but they did not let go of the tools. He made a gesture, and the enforcers turned on their heels. They walked out with the same swagger that they had coming in, but the crest told the real story. The captain watched them go, not moving until the bay doors were close behind him. Let's wrap it up, people, he said finally. I got a fearsome premonition, ain't got long to leave. Opal blinked in the sudden light as the captain hauled the paddle away. Up you get, boys, he said. They came out from the crawl space, Opal taking a moment to stretch all of his arms while Squishy straightened to his habitual length. The captain leveled a gaze at the tutor. Best get stowed away quick, the both of you. We aim to take off before they come back in force. We'll find you some quarters. They may not be expensive, but, he glanced at the crawl space, something tells me there won't be a problem. It will not, Captain, said Squishy. He clasped his ward's shoulder. Come along, Opal. Opal looked up at the captain. Thank you, sir, he said. I know what you risked by protecting me. The captain gave a hearty laugh. Oh, he's a sweet one, ain't he? He said to Squishy. He clapped a tremendous hand on Opal's free shoulder. Opal's knees buckled. Let me tell you a secret, little flotsam, he said. We've got enough contraband squirreled away on this ship. Them finding you would be the least of our plight. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Casper Arnholt, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.